The scene begins with Phil suddenly having to comply with Carol's continuous request for him to check his readiness to have children. Confused about what to do, Phil simply follows Carol's instructions, where she creates a special method to make Phil feel comfortable, safe, and calm during the checkup. Meanwhile, on the other side, Todd faces a difficult situation where he must divide his love between two women he deeply cares about, Gail and Melissa. Whenever Todd tries to be honest about his feelings, he's always held back because neither Gail nor Melissa gives him the chance to express himself. Returning to Phil, who continues to search for ways to fake the fertility test he must provide to Carol. Starting from collecting samples, he becomes frustrated because Carol keeps asking for the results he's conducted. While Todd remains confused about what to say to Gail and Melissa regarding his actions towards both of them, he suddenly finds himself overwhelmed because he feels he's become too burdened to be a playboy. This time, as Todd struggles, Erica approaches him with a message from the late Phil. Phil's wish is for Todd to be the father of their baby, as Phil believes Todd's hardworking and honest nature would be beneficial for the child. In the interest of the baby's well-being, Todd gladly agrees to Phil's wish, reassuring Erica that he'll do anything for the baby's welfare. Afterward, Todd rushes towards the beach, screaming loudly out of frustration for finding himself in a situation where he has to love three women. To vent his emotions, Todd even takes a jet ski and rides it towards the shore while shouting loudly. In Tandy's situation, she finally passes the fertility test and is declared infertile. Initially, she intends to tell Carol the truth. However, when she's in front of Carol, she suddenly lies and says she tested positive and is ready to have a child. Hearing this, Carol is thrilled and immediately hugs Tandy. Later, the scene shifts to the women gathered on a beach to enjoy a sunset. Tandy eventually confesses the truth about her infertility in front of Carol. However, when Tandy is about to reveal this, Carol's attention is diverted to Todd, who suddenly rides a jet ski towards the shore. Todd approaches them and finally admits that he had relationships with Melissa, Gail, and even kissed Erica. Hearing this, the three women are shocked and label Todd as a playboy. Todd accepts this and explains that he's confused because he only wanted to help his family and maximize what he could do to assist them. Then, he sincerely apologizes to Gail, Melissa, and Erica. After Todd's confession, it's Tandy's turn to tell the truth directly to Carol. Tandy explains that she can't have children because she's infertile and apologizes. Instead of getting angry, Carol points behind Tandy and asks everyone to look in that direction. It turns out Carol sees a man running towards them from a distance. Seeing him, Tandy seems to recognize the man and immediately runs to confront him, only to realize that the man is Mike Miller, her own brother. After hitting Mike, Tandy immediately asks why Mike is showing up now after the virus has spread worldwide for so long. Mike explains that he has been in outer space for 3 years and knows nothing about the Earth's condition. Due to their bond, Tandy stops his attack and hugs Mike. Then, he introduces Mike to everyone as his biological brother. After the introduction, Mike quickly blends in with everyone and begins recounting his experiences in outer space. He shares funny anecdotes between him and his brother, Tandy, where Tandy once had the nickname Skid Mark because he had a stain in his underwear. Hearing the story, everyone laughs hysterically while Tandy tries to contain his embarrassment. The next day, as Mike continues sharing his space experiences, he suddenly gets an idea to organize a bonfire event to welcome his arrival. With enthusiasm, he invites everyone and prepares the necessary items for the event later that evening. While everyone is preparing for the event, Gail takes the opportunity to talk to Melissa about Todd. She apologizes to Gail for not knowing that the relationship between Todd and Melissa had improved. However, Melissa understands, and they resolve the issue. In the evening, the bonfire event begins with Mike lighting the torch using a fire arrow. The event becomes lively when Mike sings a special song that holds meaning for him. The song tells about him and his colleague working in outer space. However, in the middle of singing, Mike suddenly stops as he continues to remember his deceased colleague. To prevent Mike from feeling sad, everyone approaches and hugs him, not wanting to be outdone by Mike. The next day, Tandy suddenly invites everyone to attend a concert he will hold at 6.00. He prepares some special songs he composed himself. The scene jumps to 6.00 where Tandy eagerly waits for his friends to arrive. After waiting for 3 hours, he finally sees Mike and others who want to watch Tandy's concert. With everyone present, Tandy immediately starts his concert, which turns out to be very painful for everyone's ears. Even Mike mocks and jokes about Tandy's performance, which angers Tandy. He brings up Mike's choice to escape to outer space to avoid family arguments. Embarrassed by Tandy's words, Mike decides to leave the theater immediately. As Mike leaves, everyone decides to follow his lead. After the event ends, as Tandy is about to sleep, Carol gives him a little advice. She wants Tandy to apologize to Mike for what he said, especially since Mike is Tandy's biological brother. Understanding Carol's advice, Tandy promises to apologize to Mike the next day. The next morning, Tandy wakes up and enthusiastically prepares himself to apologize to Mike. However, when he looks in the mirror, he suddenly feels angry with Mike and approaches him while he is chatting with others. When people look at Tandy, everyone spontaneously laughs because it turns out Mike played a prank on Tandy. Mike shaved off half of Tandy's hair and beard, making Tandy's appearance even more comical. After what Mike did to him, Tandy wants Mike to clarify what he did to him. With pleasure, Mike explains that he intentionally shaved Tandy's hair and beard, which made him happy. Not wanting to appear rough in front of everyone, Tandy reluctantly yields and even thanks Mike for shaving him. When Tandy leaves, everyone resumes laughing. Seeking revenge on Mike that night, Mike sets a trap for him. But as Tandy is about to set up the trap, he suddenly sees a large gift, a request from Mike. Initially skeptical, Tandy checks the gift and finds nothing suspicious. Eventually, Tandy agrees to open the gift, which turns out to contain money. However, it's a hoax because as Tandy opens the gift, he suddenly gets splattered with an unremovable liquid. The next day, Tandy's appearance becomes even stranger with his half-shaved hair and now green skin, which terrifies everyone. That night, Tandy intends to retaliate against Mike for what he did to him. He follows Mike home wearing a disguise cloak he owns. However, as Tandy is about to set the trap, he is caught by Mike's security system. Instantly, Tandy is caught red-handed. Tandy tries to justify it as a neighborhood watch program, but Mike doesn't believe him, especially when Tandy brings a knife. Eventually, Mike orders Tandy to rub the object on his body, suspecting it's a poisonous oak. Wanting to prove he isn't carrying anything, Tandy reluctantly rubs the object and soon passes out. In the morning, Tandy wakes up on a rock near the beach. As he wakes up, he accidentally falls off, panicking as he thinks he's falling off a cliff. Looking around, he sees Mike pointing at him. Fed up with Mike's continuous teasing, Tandy asks Todd for help in confronting Mike. Initially reluctant due to his busy schedule, Todd agrees after seeing Tandy's condition. Todd's first action is to mimic Tandy's hair, shaving one side to match Tandy's. After Todd does this, he approaches Mike and claims to be Tandy's friend. Seeing Todd with the same hairstyle as Tandy, Mike concedes that Tandy wins this round, believing Tandy wouldn't involve anyone else in their mischief. Mike then leaves, and Todd congratulates Tandy for being free from Mike's pranks. However, Tandy remains wary of Mike's every move. That night, Tandy gets help from Carol, who suggests a prank on Mike. She advises Tandy to write a letter claiming to be from Mike's mother. Tandy complies and gives the letter to Mike, who, upon reading it, feels sad and nostalgic about his parents but realizes it's a fake letter created by Tandy. Mike doesn't find it amusing as he genuinely misses his mother now. He leaves Tandy with a sour expression. Feeling guilty, Tandy retrieves some childhood photos of him and Mike. He decides to give Mike the Real letter from their mother along with a childhood photo of them together. Tandy apologizes to Mike for going too far. Mike quickly reads the letter and sees the childhood photo, and they decide to make peace and call a truce. However, as they reconcile, when Tandy is about to leave, he falls for another trap set by Mike. As Tandy opens Mike's door, a bucket full of flour falls and spills all over Tandy's face. Unable to say anything, Tandy can only raise his finger. The scene shifts to Carol approaching Todd for help after hearing a speech from Todd, where he vowed to give 100% of himself to help everyone. Todd gladly agrees to help Carol wholeheartedly, but his expression changes when Carol's request for help turns out to be quite unusual. She wants Todd to impregnate her. The scene begins with Carol having just finished her painting, which she immediately shows to Tandy. Upon seeing the painting, Tandy feels strange because the baby Carol painted looks like Todd. It turns out that Carol's intention in painting the picture is to ask for permission from Tandy. Finally, Carol explains that she still has a chance to conceive by asking Todd for his donation. Upon hearing Carol's request, Tandy agrees to it, thinking it's a good idea as long as it's just donation. But Carol explains that it won't be just donation but also intercourse, as she believes it's the most effective way to conceive quickly using the old-fashioned method. Initially, Tandy refuses, but when Carol insists it's the only way, Tandy agrees, and they proceed to get married. Just before the wedding begins, Tandy, acting as the officiant, suddenly decides that it should be Mike who donates his sperm to Carol. This surprises Mike, while Todd is confused but agrees to step aside for Mike. Mike replaces Todd and marries Carol. That night, everyone enjoys the wedding party, but Tandy feels uneasy about Todd. Later, Tandy approaches Todd, who is dancing alone, and asks if they're okay, thinking Todd is dancing to release his anger. Todd reassures Tandy that they're fine, and Tandy leaves him to continue dancing. On Mike and Carol's wedding night, it's actually Tandy who prepares everything, setting up a romantic room with candles. Initially, Mike and Carol have their own plans but ultimately follow Tandy's plan. However, when Mike and Carol are about to proceed, Tandy stays in the room, explaining that she wants to witness the process without interference or objections. Initially feeling awkward, Mike agrees to proceed in front of his sibling. The next day, as everyone gathers, Carol intends to check her ovulation period with the help of Melissa and Erica. Meanwhile, Todd, who has shaved his head, attracts attention. Tandy tries to talk to him, but Todd declines and walks away. Carol, instead of checking her ovulation, uses a pregnancy test with Melissa and Erica's help. They are surprised when the test confirms that Carol is pregnant. Everyone is happy, especially Tandy, who thanks Mike for his help in conceiving. Mike declines the thanks, feeling it's too soon for him to have a child. When Mike reveals that the child Carol is carrying is Tandy's, Tandy is overjoyed and hugs Carol tightly. The final scene shows Gail enjoying her wine when she suddenly sees a sophisticated flying object monitoring her. The scene begins with Gail immediately approaching everyone after seeing the strange object, telling them that someone is monitoring them. She explains seeing a flying object resembling a women's hairdryer, finding it odd. However, everyone doubts Gail's words, assuming she's drunk and hallucinating due to too much wine. Not wanting to lie, Gail promptly invites everyone outside, but she can't prove her claim as the sophisticated object she saw has disappeared. Unable to substantiate her testimony, everyone leaves to tend to their own business. Mike and Erica, for instance, start communicating well, as they both spent time in Adelaide. However, Erica's story differs, as during her time in Adelaide, she wasn't on vacation or attending school. Instead, she was in jail due to involvement in a robbery and was caught holding a weapon. Their conversation continues, with Mike becoming Erica's personal chef, impressing her with his culinary skills. Erica even nicknames him Chef Miyagi. The scene shifts to Tandy approaching Mike, who is milking a cow, asking him to be the godfather to his future child. Mike gladly accepts. Todd suddenly arrives and berates Mike. Unhappy with Todd's behavior, Tandy tells Todd that Mike is his brother. However, Todd is jealous of Tandy's closeness to his sibling, feeling lonely himself. As the argument ensues, it abruptly stops when Todd notices Mike coughing up blood, not wanting Phil's fate to repeat. Tandy quickly covers it up from everyone. However, Todd reveals the truth that he saw Mike coughing up blood, making them fear Mike might have a virus that wiped out most of humanity. They decide to leave Mike alone, fearing the virus, especially since Erica and Carol are pregnant. However, Tandy reassures everyone that Mike is just catching a cold and comes up with a plan to address the issue. That night, Tandy approaches Mike wearing protective gear, inviting him to join the others who are also wearing the same gear. They introduce a bunker they created to isolate Mike for safety. Mike doesn't mind, understanding people's fear of the virus. They decide to play a guessing game, trying to guess the names of those who died from the virus, involving Mike in the game. However, the warm night turns cold when someone surprises them with news that their only adult cow has died. Everyone rushes to the cow pen and discovers the truth, strengthening their reasons to isolate Mike. They cannot believe their cow suddenly died, especially knowing that Mike coughed up blood while milking. They all rush to isolate Mike, but Tandy insists on letting Mike stay with his sibling. Reluctantly, everyone leaves except Tandy, who stays with his sibling. They sleep together with a plastic barrier separating them. Before falling asleep, they decide to sing their favorite song from the past. The next morning, when Tandy wakes up, he doesn't find Mike beside him and discovers a farewell letter from Mike, who decided to leave. After seeing his brother lying motionless with a pale face, Tandy panicked. But as he approached, Mike suddenly rose, startling Tandy, realizing it was Mike's plan. The scene shifts to the Tucson family deciding to care for their only remaining cow. While feeding the calf, they are startled to see the strange flying object again, beginning to believe Gail's words. Returning to Tandy and Mike, they spend time tinkering with Mike's belongings brought from space. However, their happiness is interrupted when Mike suddenly faints. Now, back to the Tucson family, they hastily grab boxes painted with words signifying their goodness. However, when they try to be friendly, Melissa shoots the object, suspecting it's being controlled to spy on them. The scene returns to Mike, who wakes up from fainting, sees Tandy beside him coughing up blood, just like Mike when he coughs. This makes Mike panic, thinking Tandy's infected, but Tandy laughs, revealing it was just a prank with chili sauce. Not finding it funny, Mike asks Tandy to stop, who then asks Mike to shave his head, which Mike does happily, restoring Tandy's appearance. Mike then urges Tandy to go home and think about Carol, but Tandy refuses until Mike angers him with hurtful words. Feeling guilty, Mike apologizes and notices a grave outside, which is their parents' grave. Touched by Tandy's gesture, Mike thanks him for burying their parents properly, as Tandy even made a grave for Mike, thinking he was dead. Grateful, Mike asks Tandy to return home, where Tandy agrees after Mike's apology. The next day, Tandy returns to Malibu, giving Mike his cherished ball collection, asking Mike to take care of them. Back in Malibu, Gail discovers a cruise ship landing near their beach. Through a telescope, Tandy sees 3 people in protective gear with weapons approaching their home. This is the end of The Last Man on Earth Season 2 on Part 8. Like, comment, and subscribe so I will soon make a recap of Part 9 for The Last Man on Earth. Thank you for watching.